Well, our economies are at different levels. Some are more developed than others. Countries like South Africa, countries like Egypt, countries like perhaps Kenya and so on have more developed economies than others. But still, it is beneficial for them and for the less developed economies in Africa to have that intertrade within Africa. But for the outside world, the other economies beyond Africa, again, it is good that if we work as a bloc, we can have more impact on the world global economy as a bloc.
I see. And you also spoke about new fiscal policies to create some win-win situation for boosting investment in the country. So, are we talking about any reform, or is just?
Yes, we are undergoing serious economic reforms in Zimbabwe, because we know that economic development is not on the basis of charity. It is on the basis of creating an economic environment where you can attract global capital to come to your own economic environment or jurisdiction. So we are doing our best to reform our economy, to modernize the economy, to open up our economy, to attract capital to come into our country.
Well, that was my next question, actually. So now I think all parts of the world, the Western powers, they show a greater interest for Africa. And US offers some trade concessions. EU also says that Africa is our partner. So don't you have a feeling that there is a certain competition for Africa again, and that it might become a chessboard of sorts?
Well, looking at that, I suppose you are looking at, we have French Africa Summit. We have America-Africa Summit, which happened in Mozambique recently. We have TICAD, Japan-Africa Summit. We have China-Africa Summit. We now have Russian Federation Africa Summit now. So perhaps you are saying that there's competition. As far as we're concerned, we are happy that these big economies would want to expose themselves, and also us exposing our potential to them. This is how we look at it. How they look at us may be different, but we feel that this cooperation gives us a platform where we can discuss and exchange possibilities and opportunities in our respective economies.
And well, Africa, there are a lot of talking about Africa acting as one now, since AFTA is in place. And well, there are always some agenda behind, economic relations. So, which partnerships is Zimbabwe seeking? Rather economic or?
First, you should realize that Africa was the most colonized continent. We have English Africa, French Africa, Portuguese Africa, Spanish Africa, but we all become independent. And the founding fathers of our AU, the African Union, is that we as a continent must come together and become a union of Africa. So we believe that our vision is to have Africa as a bloc, as a family. In the same manner, other big continents are also a bloc. So this is our pursuit to be united as Africa. And it's that first we must ourselves come together economically, politically, and our vision as Africa is such that we believe we can be stronger if we are united than if we are going to deal with the rest of the world in pieces. But as a solid bloc, we can deal with the rest of the world with more voice, stronger voice than when we are in different small units.
I see your point. And well, coming back to AFTA, a lot of experts, they cite EU as an example, European Union as an example, but we also know that some economists of the EU, they suffered, they struggled, and especially during the crisis, economies like Greece or Ireland or Portugal, they basically had to be bailed out. And are there any concerns of this kind in Africa? Because, as you said, the economies are different. There is Nigeria, for example, which was, by the way, one of the latest.
You are comparing apples and bananas and oranges. If you are talking about oranges, let us talk about oranges. If you are talking about bananas, we'll talk about bananas. Apples, talk about apples. Now, the EU is at a very advanced level compared to our African Union. They have the capacity to bail each other when they go into problems. But this is what we desire to achieve also. There was a time also which persuaded separate European countries to come together to form the Economic European Commission in the past. But they've developed until they reach the stage where they are. So we are also doing the same. It's a journey. It's not an event. It's a process. We hope we'll reach that stage.
May I also ask you a question that Africa is eager to boost its infrastructural development, but in my view, the projects like Trans-African Railroad, for example, they were there for a century almost. And, you know, we have peace built here, and they don't interconnect because of some reasons. So what are the obstacles in this kind of...
As I've said, we did not get our independence on the same day. Ghana got its independence in 1957. South Africa became a democratic state a few years ago. 94. Just 94. So the vision is that our roads must begin to talk to each other from Cape Town to Cairo. We must develop that. Our railway system must talk to each other from Cape Town to Cairo. Our airlines must talk to each other, again from Cape Town to Cairo. All the systems which we have, our agriculture, our education, everything that relates to our lives must be developed to be able to relate to each other. This is a process, and this is a vision, and we are walking the journey.
So we can say that you hope there will be more unity between the leadership and between the business communities of the countries to make it happen.
Yes, that is the vision. Not everybody will come on board on the same day. But we believe that as we go on, everybody will come on board to share the vision of Africa.
Okay, and I also have a political question. So the Zimbabwe's main opposition party, they called for sort of mediation of UN or African Union in talks with the government. So would you welcome such an initiative? No,
in Zimbabwe, it's a democratic country. There's democratic space. Anybody can wake up and they say what they think they like. They are free to dream. They are free to talk about anything they want. But at the end of the day, Zimbabwean problems are Zimbabwean will need Zimbabwean solutions. African problems will need African solutions. This is where we are going.
Well, that's the ground for African Union. They always say for African problems, African solution.
Yes.
So if, for example, they insist on AU to mediate, could it happen?
If necessity arises where there's need for AU to come in, but before AU comes in, we have SADC. This is the structure of how we resolve our problems. If there's a problem in SADC, SADC will make sure that they will resolve that problem. If SADC thinks that they need the AU to come in, then SADC will invite AU. But at the present time, we have not faced any problems which we as Zimbabweans are unable to surmount.
I see. Also, you addressed the UN General Assembly. You addressed UN General Assembly pointing out the climate problem. And we all know that there was a Paris climate deal, which everybody welcomed, and then such an economy as the EU withdrew from it. So do you feel that nations are doing enough in this regard, and Africa is one of the continents who feels the impact of climate change the most?
Well, specific to Zimbabwe, we have felt the impact of climate change. Suddenly we had serious drought. And above that, we also had Cyclone Idai, which had a devastating effect on infrastructure in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi. Now, also in terms of climate change, even the agricultural weather patterns have changed. So we believe that it is necessary that we find scientific methods to mitigate against climate change. And this cannot be a problem for Zimbabwe alone. We have to collaborate within the region, collaborate with the continent, as well as collaborate with the entire world community.
So are you calling on the you know, there are countries that emit less, the countries that emit most, like US and like China. Are you calling on those nations to be more conscious about it?
Again, these countries are sovereign countries. For instance, America at the present time does not believe there is climate change, right? But many other developed countries believe there is climate change. So, but as far as we're concerned in Zimbabwe, we feel the effect of climate change.